Panie i Panowie, tylko na nasze zaproszenie, po raz pierwszy w naszej ojczyźnie, Edward Norton będzie z Państwem mówił o wszystkim. Amerykanie nie ukrywają niczego i on też będzie ukrywał. Rozmawiał z nim znakomity polski dziennikarz Michał Oleszczyk. Powitamy obu. Ja jeszcze przejdę na angielski, żeby nie było, że dyskryminuję tych, co się nie nauczyli polskiego. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who need to be addressed in English, we have Edward Norton here. The man who we admire, the man who we love, the man who inspires us, but above all, the man who does incredible things, not only as an actor, but also as a human being. So, welcome, Edward Norton.
I will just say one sentence in Polish and then I will switch it to English. Proszę Państwa, witamy Państwa bardzo serdecznie na festiwalu Transatlantyk. Bardzo dziękuję w swoim imieniu za zaproszenie mnie do poprowadzenia tego spotkania. I w tym momencie już przerzucamy się na język angielski i zaczynamy rozmawiać z panem Edwardem. Edward, it's such a pleasure and an absolute honor to have you here. And I think that this response alone tells you how we feel about you. So thank you so much for visiting the Transatlantic Festival.
Thank you. Technically, I came to Poland. When we made Grand Budapest Hotel, we worked in Görlitz, Germany, but you could walk across the bridge to Görlitz, Poland, and Wes liked Żubrówka, right. So we would go across the bridge for Żubrówka, but that was my only experience with Poland. So this is much better.
It's not a bad start, though.
We'll call this the official first visit.
Right. Well, every Polish viewer, when the Grand Budapest Hotel opened in Poland, everyone was sort of wondering was Anderson familiar with Żubrówka, with the drink. Now you just clarified that. Okay, this meeting will be around 1 hour long, and the way it will work with the audience as well is that the first half an hour I will be asking questions to Mr. Norton, and then I will of course open it up to the audience, so please think of your questions. I can always translate the question from Polish to English, so in about half an hour I will ask you also to join in. But really the first question for you tonight is, let's go back to the very beginning. I know that your father was an environmental lawyer, your mother was an English teacher. When was it that you first got the bug? When was it when you first felt, okay, performing on the stage or on the screen is actually something that I would enjoy or like to do?
There was a girl in my neighborhood growing up who was kind of a babysitter for us. And she attended a local theatrical arts school, and so when I was 5 or 6 years old, I saw her perform in the local theater school play, and I was very struck by it. And so she took me to sign me up for little classes for 5-year-olds, and that was the beginning, I suppose. My parents weren't artists at all, but they were the kind of people who keep all of us in business. They loved the arts, and they took us to the theater and to movies and to concerts all the time. So we were constantly seeing, and then as a family discussing films. And my mother had the films she loved, and introduced me to Woody Allen and the things she liked the most, and my father had the ones he loved. And so I feel like they really cultivated my sense of the arts as not just entertainment, but something that was important. But I never really thought seriously about. I did it like a kid does everything. I played sports, I did my theater stuff, and we made movies with my friends, but all just for fun, you know. It was never even in my head that it was something you did for real. And then maybe when I was when I was you know, at school, I went to public school, and the idea of like being theater was not cool, you know, it wasn't things. And I remember I was doing a play, and then I realized that some girls from my school might come to see the play, and I got terrified. Like I quit. You know, I said I'm not doing this anymore, because I got very embarrassed about the idea of performing, and then I had one teacher who took, I don't know why she picked me. She picked a few kids, and she took us to see Ian McKellen was doing a tour of this one-man show. And I think maybe I was 17, and I saw him give this performance, and it was about Shakespeare, and it was about his life performing Shakespeare, and what he learned by performing Shakespeare, and also about Shakespeare as an artist. And it was so amazing. It was so, and he was alone on the stage, and he just, you know, in the huge National Theater, and I remember when I left, that I remember thinking, this is something very big, you know, this is very serious, and this is something you could actually do. And then I started to get more interested in the idea of it.
Is my information correct? You actually at some point ended up on the stage with Ian McKellen in the production of Macbeth? Is that
No, that was that time. When I was 16, he did a thing in his performance. He asked for volunteers, and I went up, and many people came up, you know, dozens of people, and he came up and whispered. He said, you know, lie down and be dead, you know, and then he did the speed, he did Macbeth on the battlefield, you know, tomorrow and these things, and but I was right under him, kind of looking up at him, and
no lines to speak?
No lines to speak. But he had an enormous effect on me, and many people, I think. But even still, when I went to university and I studied history and I was doing other things, and I kept doing plays, and I just felt, I don't know, maybe in my 20s, when I was in New York in my 20s, I never was one of those people who was like, I am an actor, I'm going to make movies. You know, it was very slow, it was slow for me.
So there was no like romantic dimension to that, like an adventure of someone going to New York and...
Oh no, there was. I was doing other things, but the whole romance of the New York theater was a huge draw for me. I loved the idea of it. It was partly, I can't explain it. I went to public school my whole life, and then I got to go to this great university, and there was part of me that, I think almost I felt like I had been given this opportunity to go and get this great education, and then I thought being an actor was like irresponsible.
Oh, like a trivial pursuit?
Yeah, which was foolish, but I just sort of felt like I got this education, and my grandfather paid for it, and I shouldn't. This is self-indulgent. This is, you know, narcissistic. It's like, and in a way, fortunately, my grandfather, who was a great thinker and everything, he actually said to me, he said that's why do what you want to do, or do what gives you pleasure, and you'll find your way to contribute eventually. You know what I mean? So he was very influential, but it took me a while. I was doing theater in New York, but I had an opportunity to work for the U.S. government in Asia, and I almost did it. I almost left and went and worked in Hanoi, in Vietnam, and I quit the whole thing. But well,
we're certainly
different.
lucky that you didn't. But well, at the time, I mean, when you decided to go to New York and you studied at Yale, early '90s, that was the moment when, you know, independent movies in America really sort of got their momentum, you know, the Sundance movement and people like Steven Soderbergh. Did you feel that sort of vibe in the air, that interesting things are happening and, you know, there's actually some creative force that hopefully you will join one day?
Yeah, I did. I think that the funny thing about my experience was that I've had lots of people say to me, even, you know, Peter Biskin, when he was writing that book about independent... Yeah, he was doing the one about film in the 90s. Yeah. And he said, well, I want to talk to you because of... And I said, why? He said, because I'm doing this book about independent film in the 90s. And I said, what? I said, that's nothing to do with me. And he said, you did all these films that... I said, all of those were studio movies, you know, I think people think that you know, these films we did, like American History X and Fight Club, Rounders, all of those were done at major studios, and I think that's what's interesting about that is that I think people take for granted, they forget that in that period, a lot of us coming along, you know, David Fincher and Paul Thomas Anderson and Spike Jonze, a lot of us we were actually getting to make those films at studios. They were making those films at studios, and but there was a sensation, I think, that our crowd or our group of people was getting a chance to make some films we wanted to make, and it was very exciting. I think whenever you're first starting, you do anything. You don't. It's not like, oh, I'm going to wait for a great. You just do anything that you can. But by in '99, by that time I felt like some of us had earned some credit. You know, like we'd done some things, and in 1999, I felt was a very exciting year. It was actually 98 we were making the movies, but we were making Fight Club, and Alexander Payne was making Election, David Russell was making Three Kings, Paul was making Magnolia.
Terrence Malick did his big...
The Matrix was coming out. It was, so that in that year, I remember, the Wachowskis were making The Matrix, made Fight Club, Election, Three Kings, Magnolia, Being John Malkovich. All of those films we made, and they all came out, and I remember thinking, this is us. You know, this is a lot of us. There's a sense of a generational voice in this year, and that was exciting.
Well, I think many of us do remember that very time, because those movies, all except Election, which didn't open here until it came out on DVD, but all those movies opened here and they made a huge impact. I want to move to your breakthrough role, which we discussed briefly, but we definitely have to mention it. I mean the role in Primal Fear, which brought you your first of 3 Oscar nominations. You played Aaron, the altar boy who, well, everyone saw the movie, I hope the Slaughters.
What do they call it here?
That one actually had exactly the same title. It was Length Give Up, the Primal Fear. Earlier on I told Edward that many of his movies actually have very different titles here in Polish.